We'd like to welcome everyone right now for viewing our live stream over on YouTube Live. Everyone stay tuned. It's got a great show for you. Nerdiness starts now. PopX.live and Geeks.live. Are you ready to get your geek on?
Hi, I'm Stargate Pioneer from Better Podcasting, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual host. Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Stargate Pioneer from Better Podcasting, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual host. Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready because
science
geekiness
fiction meets pop culture. In the growing movement of comic-themed media, like video games, movies, television shows, one thing is for certain: comic books are here to stay. And so are we. We are excited about geeky things. Just look around. We've come to one conclusion, that even though our broadcasts are fun, engaging, informative, they solely can't be funded on advertising alone. That's where you come in. So PopX needs support, and you are that support. At least we hope so. To date, about 60% of our budget has came from generous donations and out-of-pocket expenses, just to keep our production on the level that it needs to be. Without crowdfunding and assistance from you guys, PopX would totally be doomed and pretty much circling into a viral vortex of circular doom and catastrophe as we know it. Not cool. We want to keep our content free and flowing for the whole world to enjoy. In order to keep these dreams alive, ultimately someone has to pay. Not everyone, but hopefully a select few. For details on how to get started, please check out our list of campaigns and rewards over on the left-hand side. And in the words of Mr. Stan Lee, Excelsior! Hey everyone, and welcome. This is PopXcast, where science fiction meets
pop culture.
We are a geek podcast for geek culture, so are you ready to get your geek on? Sit back, relax, put on that Ninja Turtle onesie, warm up those chimichangas. Ladies and gentlemen, this is PopXcast. You are listening to PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture.
Captain's log supplemental.
PopXcast.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Transform.
Excelsior!
And welcome everyone. We are live. This is episode number 23 coming to you live on this glorious July the 10th, 2016. I'm in the future. I just had a Doctor Who moment. Did you see that? That was a glorious Doctor Who moment. All right, but Austin is returned this week. Holy cow, dude. Welcome back to the show. The I guess sauce to my spaghetti. Look, man, you've got your own fanfare.
Now it feels good to be back. Once you said that,
yeah, you've got your own fanfare going on right there, man. But,
oh my goodness!
Look, man, they're jumping for you. That is for you, man. That was captured live in Pikeville, Kentucky last week.
If there's that many people in Pikeville, Kentucky, wow, I do not remember it correctly.
Good point. Good point. Hey guys, welcome to PopX, where science fiction meets pop culture. I'm your host, Joe Burke, and I am Central Florida's seasoned comic book nerd and retro enthusiast.
And I am Austin Burke, your residential Appalachian geek at heart. If you guys missed last week's episode 22, where we discussed a beginner's guide to Doctor Who, please be sure to head over now to Google Play or iTunes, click that subscribe button, catch up, and while you're there, leave us a glowing and wonderful 5-star rating and review. We certainly appreciate that. Joseph, it is so good to be back.
I know, man. It's really great to be back, and I just realized that PopX is reversed for those of you watching on the live stream. That is that. So that says I don't know, what is that, like DOD dot X? I don't know. Anyway, but
It's done.
I know, right? So yeah. So what did you get a chance to check the beginner's guide to Doctor Who? Did you get a chance to check that episode out? And
listen, man, just from listening, your listeners got a treat out of that, because I learned so much. I knew nothing about. I know the hype going into it and whatnot,
Right.
but I knew you guys killed it, man, and it made me really want to just go back, start at the beginning, and watch everything. Pretty amazing stuff.
Wow. Yeah, it was so fun. And Warp My TARDIS, that individual, seriously is a walking Doctor Who. I mean, much like, I wouldn't consider myself a walking dictionary of Marvel and DC, but I know a fair amount. He is freaking, like, he's got a memory chip. Like, he's got a USB drive, like, on the back of his brain, and it's just, like, plugged in at all times. But, anywho, it's really great to be back. Really great to have you back. And we missed you, Austin. We missed you and your many travels around the globe
Buddy,
and back.
listen, I've been everywhere from Cincinnati to Atlanta to Pikeville to just it's ridiculous how much I've traveled.
You know,
but I'm here for a week, and then
I
I'm
know
on vacation.
you're here, and I think Johnny Cash even wrote a song about you. I've been everywhere, man. Anyway, I'm not going to sing because that would obviously make our ratings go way down.
Swooning, bro. I'm swooning right now.
You're what? You're swooning?
I'm swooning.
You're swooning? Oh gosh, that's wrong on so many levels. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and play this intro for our news. We'll be right back. PopX News coming to you right here. Extra, read all about it. This is PopX News coming to you live right here on PopXcast.com. All right, so this week in PopX News, we have Noel Neill, that is Superman's first live-action Lois Lane. Noel Neill has passed away. And I just want to get that out on the radar. That's one of DC's, that's the original George Reeves Superman. If you guys ever remember the old black and white Superman series, George Reeves headed that up, and that is her. That's sad news coming out, but she has a legacy as lives on forever with some of the fans in DC Comics. So we definitely want to. It makes me want to break out some of the old what do you call it? The old replays and watch the old shows, the old 40s and 50s. You know, Superman flying around.
Good time, dude. 2016 has absolutely sucked. So many just amazing.
It has sucked so bad, and I feel it's not over. I mean, we're just halfway at the halfway point, but I don't want to cast any, bad stones or any bad voodoo or vibes or whatever it is. I don't know what you call voodoo, juju or whatever. But so, what's next, man? Let's get out of this sad moment.
Let's turn the tables right now, man. The CW just signed a new deal for the Flash, Arrow, and more on Netflix. Somebody's going to be doing some binging. And it's
my God. Well, that's a big deal because now the fans are going to be able to literally dive head first, especially new fans who have never seen a show that is wanting to see this. They are going to literally freak out. So it's going to be so awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah. You've seen all 3 shows, haven't you?
I have seen all 3 shows, but every now and then you get to the point to where you're like, I kind of want to go back and rewatch some of these perfect play. Netflix is the perfect place, especially
Yeah.
Legends. If you're feeling in the mood, have some fun, or if you're feeling dark, want to go back and watch some Arrow. Netflix, man,
Netflix and chill. Indeed. Also, on this week's news list, the Tomb Raider release date has been set for March the 16th, 2018, and this will be a brand new live-action film that will feature Lara Croft. New Lara Croft, so they're kind of rebooting the Angelina Jolie franchise from years ago. So that's going to be really cool. I'm a fan of actually the franchise.
Alicia Vikander, who was an Ex Machina, phenomenal movie. She was great in it, and she won an Oscar last year, man. So her in Tomb Raider, I feel like it's perfect casting, and I want to see what she can do with this.
Absolutely. What else we got?
So we're very excited. John Cho's Sulu in the new Star Trek Beyond movie is confirmed to be a gay character. So that is definitely from what we know from the old Star Trek. So he's kind of a brand new thing. It's its own entity.
That's interesting, though. It's kind of like an homage and a nod to George Takei, who played Sulu in the original series, who is, in real life, gay.
Well, I don't know. Did you hear the reports? Apparently, he is upset with this because he told the director, he told the actors, he was emailing people back and forth. He didn't want the character. He wanted the character to be the way he was in the original series. I don't like the idea of this, but I know what they're doing. They're paying homage to, him because he's such a great actor and he's such an influence in Star Trek. Yeah. I like what they're doing, but he did not like this.
Yeah, we got Steven Jandreau. He's the captain over at the Gonna Geek Network, and we got Chris Farrell hanging out with us. Those guys over there are talking right now. He said, "Believe it or not, I've never seen any of the franchise." I think he was talking about Tomb Raider. But in terms of like CW, okay. In terms of like what we're talking about here with Star Trek, I think it. He said George commented on it and he felt he would have been better to create a brand new character altogether as opposed to just trying to pay homage or trying to do something, I don't know. I don't really, honestly, I personally don't care about it either way. I know it's going to be a good film, so I don't really care about the orientation of some...
It won't affect the story in a major way.
I don't really care about that. It doesn't affect me, and I don't know why George would get so... I don't know. I'm just going off on a tangent. I'm having a nerd moment. But
it's a nerd nugget.
That's it. So Steve Amell also reveals this week that wrestling rival Stardust will guest star on the Arrow. Now, as you may or may not know, Steve Amell was on the WWE wrestling, Mr. Stardust. And if I do not believe it was, if it was not WrestleMania that they threw down in the square. So it's going to be interesting. Is he going to be a villain? Is he going to be a hero?
I think that's pretty cool because I think fans of the WWE are going to get a kick out of this because they have a rivalry, in the ring, and now they're potentially going to have a rivalry or a friendship on the show. So I think that's really, really cool.
I think it's really cool too, and I think what it's going to do too, it's actually going to pull from the WWE crowd who normally wouldn't watch, Arrow or something like that, or any of the CW DC shows. So it'll actually be a good crossover, and they started, I guess, with this whole match between, Steve Amell and Stardust back in the day, and now it's just kind of progressed to this, and so now he's going to be actually on the show as a guest character. So that's kind of cool.
Awesome.
So what else we got in terms of
that is awesome. So let's deviate from Arrow to the Flash. We've got, do you guys remember a guy by the name of Tom Felton? Starred in the very small series, nobody really remembers it, Harry Potter. He's been added to the cast of that one of the Flash as a series regular.
So maybe he'll be on there as Slytherin Snake. I don't know. I'm just messing with you. That was a fun joke. Slytherin, did you get it? Slytherin. Anyway.
Slytherin.
I digress. But yeah, that's kind of cool, Harry Potter crossing over into the CW world. Wow, that's new and different. I'm definitely all for that one. And
DC doing it right.
I do love me some Harry Potter. That's my best Dobby. No, Harry Potter, don't touch Dobby there. No, I'm just messing with you. Anyway, that was wrong on so many levels, and I'm so sorry.
It was perfect.
Oh, anyway, Spider-Man photos. There's a photograph that was taken this past week that marks the 1 year until the film's actual release date on July the 7th, 2017. Spider-Man Homecoming will hit theaters. I guess this is more of a wrap-up, almost close to wrapping up type of... Look at that web shooter, man. Look at the web shooter on that thing.
Oh, man.
That's pretty cool. I dig it. I'm all for it. Bring me some Spidey.
Hey, you know what else I'm digging, Joe?
What's that, baby?
Pokemon Go. It's now available, downloaded on the iOS App Store, and I'm kind of addicted. A little bit addicted.
No, wait. Are you a Pokemon gamer?
I used to be a Pokemon gamer, but I've taken a few years off. But this demon, this has sucked me right back in, man. And I'm walking around town, and I'm walking around my house, and I'm collecting Pokemon, and my parents are like, "Stop it!" And I'm like, "I just got one," and it's a mess.
Why do you keep going to the toilet, Austin?
Just boom. I mean, it's this game is nuts, and it is a revolute. People all over Twitter, Facebook, everything, just talking about it. It's awesome.
I have been. There's like 5 people in my, as somebody I know in a previous network would say inner circle, has asked me many times, please go download Pokemon Go, and I know if I go download Pokemon Go, I probably won't have much of a life, so I think I may have to pass on that one. Just saying.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, Pokemon Go is I heard on opening day that it was such a huge hit, and they were downloading the app so much that the servers did crash, and there was a period of about 4 to 5 hours where the servers were down and no one could download the app. That's crazy, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
makes sense.
Yeah, and they're still having some issues. Chris Farrell over in the PopX chat room is saying it's still having some issues from time to time. So they haven't got all the kinks ironed out of it. But moving on to the next one here, we have Finding Dory passes Captain America Civil War as the highest grossing domestic film of 2016 so far, earning a total of $408 million domestically. Can you believe that? I know. Dory stomps Steve Rogers.
I can't believe Captain America Civil War was so good, and I liked Finding Dory. Finding Dory was a good movie.
Finding Dory was a great movie. Finding Dory was a great movie. I love the fact that they done the theme park aspect of it. Oh, that was a spoiler alert. Hold on, wait, no, I can't do that. That was anyway. I like to talk about Dory. That was a really great movie, but. So this last one here of the week is the PopX Hit It of the Week, and this is kind of a new thing that I've done here. And it's DC Comics this past 2 weeks ago released a brand new comic book series that revives one of the old true 50s cartoons that we all know and love from Hanna-Barbera age, The Flintstones. And this is by Mark Russell, Steve Pugh, and Chris Chuckry, and exceeds already high expectations as an incredibly relevant and surprisingly dark comedy comic book. It's a delight, and particularly for those of us with more, as we shall say, cynical sensibilities. And I truly went out to the comic book store and picked it up. There it is, Flintstones #1. And the artwork on this is really
nice.
Look at Fred Flintstone. I mean, he's awesome, dude. And that's pretty awesome. And there's Bam Bam and Pebbles and Barney and the whole thing. So awesome. Everybody's there. But moving on into this week's Nerd Nugget of the week as we will roll the beautiful bean footage.
Oh my God, it's a Nerd Nugget.
Lindsay Badger joining us from Oklahoma and regions unknown. Hello, my dear.
Hello. I'm sorry. I was just checking my Pokemon Go.
You
because
seriously?
I always have this
Oh
on
my
now.
God.
It is always on now. It's killing my battery life.
Cut it out.
It's so addicting. I can't help it.
I can't do
It's
it.
so much fun.
I can't do this.
So,
I can't do
all
this.
right,
I
so
give up.
Nerd Nuggets this week. We have.
I'm gonna
we have
download. I'm gonna download it.
Me
You do your
too.
nerd nuggets. I'm gonna download it.
You do that right now. All right, Nerd Nuggets this week, guys. The very first Electronic Entertainment Expo, which we better known as E3, was May 11th through the 13th in 1995, and it featured the start of Sony's entrance into the video game industry with its PlayStation. Thank you, Sony. I love some PlayStation. Sega's Saturn was ready to try and take advantage of the year head start it would have over Nintendo, who at the time had announced its Ultra 64 system, which we know now as Nintendo 64. And it would be released the summer following the next year. So Nintendo used the event to unveil its Virtual Boy system, which turned out to be a complete commercial failure. Wah, wah. So, I mean, they're not all winners, but I'm sure that the presentation was absolutely fantastic and blew minds everywhere.
Oh my God, it's
because that's
Nerd
probably one of the
Nugget.
number one reasons I watch E3 is just for the presentations because they go crazy.
Truth.
It's very, very fun. And to finish up the segment this week, the last Nerd Nugget, Nintendo filed a request with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office in 2010 to trademark the phrase, "It's on like Donkey Kong."
What?
Look at that graphic. That is fantastic.
It's on like Donkey Kong is
It's
trademarked
on
by
like Donkey
Nintendo.
Kong.
Are you serious?
There you go.
Oh,
That's this
jeez.
week's Nerd Nuggets, guys.
Oh my gosh. Well, Lindsay Badger, thank you so much, and
You're very welcome.
good to see you as always, my dear.
Good to see you.
Yes.
Enjoy the rest of the show. We'll see
We
you after.
shall. We
Thank
shall.
you.
And Lindsay, just before you go, look! I got it. It's downloaded.
He did it.
I did it.
Thank you, Jay.
I did it.
Job, Joe.
Does this mean that I don't have a life now?
Oh, you have a life now, Joe. You have a life.
Preach
This
to,
is your life.
preach to me,
Get
brother.
sucked in.
All righty. Well, that wraps up the news and the Nerd Nuggets of this week. We are now going to officially move into the feature segment of this week's podcast. And, of course, this is the E3 Rewind. That was kind of a E3 Rewind and AMC's Preacher. So, yes, we are a clean podcast about to review Preacher, if you can believe it or not. So, this is going to happen. We're going to throw this down, and we're going to try to do it as quickly as we can because there's a lot of content to cover. But this year's E3 was definitely heavy on all things Sony as they announced the launch of their brand new PlayStation VR virtual reality. And look at that. Look at that visor, dude.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
You know that thing sold out within 2 to 3 hours from the time it was announced at GameStop? They were out.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it was gone.
Dude, that is the future. That is the future.
The future, Marty. Anyway, sorry. But fans will be able to put on goggles and fully immersed into an experience unlike anything before. Titles like Batman Arkham VR. Look at that. I love you, Batman. Resident Evil 7 VR.
Oh, that's scary. Oh, no.
Yeah, buddy. And the long-running Final Fantasy 25 is getting the VR treatment as well. Can you imagine Final Fantasy in virtual reality? What? Can you say what? Anyway,
Oh, my goodness.
that's crazy. And a new title called Days Gone is an open-world action-adventure game that is set 2 years after a devastating global pandemic. You play as Deacon St. John, a bounty hunter facing a brutal struggle for survival, searching for a reason to live. Another title that looks really promising, and this one I saw on the actual trailer for E3, Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, this one is a brand new game, ready-made for PlayStation 4. Just look at the artwork on this game.
That looks so epic.
It's an exhilarating, listen to this awesome description, an exhilarating new action role-playing game exclusively for PlayStation 4 system, developed by award-winning Guerrilla Games, creators of PlayStation's venerated Killzone franchise. So it's going to be good. Just saying that right off the top of the bat, right out of the gate. It's going to. I was looking at the trailer for this game online, and I was just sitting there like, wow. Welcome to the new age, you know what I'm saying? All right, so moving along, Sony has also announced some major titles of the beloved franchise coming into the next generation console, including, yes, Kratos' return in God of War. And he will be back, and he will be rocking it out in next generation graphic high definition. It's going to be gorgeous. And also, we reported on this a few weeks ago, the brand new Spider-Man game that's coming out. Now, Austin, I know that you're a big fan of this one, and I'm going to let you have a chance to talk about it here in a minute. But it is looking glorious in high definition. And, look at that. Peter Parker never looked so better. I know, right?
Oh, my goodness.
And there's also a brand new game called Eve Valkyrie, and it lets players become an elite fighter pilot, and you immerse yourself in a virtual reality space combat. So that one is going to be a really, really heavy hitter game as well for the PlayStation 4. And we're going to do an honorable mention here at the bottom. And Robin and Rand Miller, the brothers that created the graphic adventure puzzle game back in the 90s called Myst, well, they're bringing back the successor to Myst franchise called Abduction on July 26th. Being released on the standard PC Mac format, it will also be available, get this, virtual reality. Since these games were from a first-person point of view, could Myst franchise be resurrected in the VR platform? We'll just have to wait and see. So Abduction is coming. And now, okay, before we pass this over and let Austin do his E3 spiel, my top 3 games that I'm excited for coming out of E3, and this is really cool. Batman Arkham VR, of course, is my number 1. Oh, yeah. My number 2, definitely Spider-Man. I am freaking stoked to play this game. You have no idea. And number 3, a lot of people frown on this franchise. They hate this franchise. But I'm a loyal player of this franchise. Call of Duty, Infinite, and Modern Warfare. And they are remastering Modern Warfare into the next generation consoles. I'm really actually excited for Call of Duty. I mean, there's some people like really just throwing it under the bus. They're not really giving it some... but you know what? I have every single... Now, this is a nerd nugget for all of our listeners. Just to tell you how much of a geek I am, I have the very first Call of Duty in 2002 all the way up to today. Every single game made for Call of Duty.
Wow.
But I'm just saying. All right, Austin, you're up, man.
Here we go. All right, we're going to go from PlayStation to Xbox. Now, as for Xbox lovers, there wasn't a ton compared to everything else, but the new Xbox One S, a thinner, updated version of the existing next-gen console, is arriving soon. It's 40% smaller, 2 terabyte storage, thinner, IR blaster, 4K Ultra HD. That sounds pretty epic. 4K. Now, as for games, 4K. So Gears of War 4, which is Microsoft's biggest title, along with Season 3 to Killer Instinct, along with Forza Horizon 3, a racing game, and ReCore were the new titles, and some of the new titles announced. Now, ReCore is, the description says, as one of the last remaining humans on a planet controlled by robotic foes, bent on your destruction, must forge friendships with a courageous group of robot companions, each with unique abilities and powers. Lead this band of unlikely heroes on an epic adventure through a mysterious, dynamic world. You can't save mankind alone. Survival starts in the core. That sounds epic. I'm very excited for ReCore. And look at that. I love that.
It looks
art
neat,
right
yeah.
there, man. This game...
Yeah.
It looks amazing. This game is something to look forward to if you're a fan of Xbox.
Yeah.
Now we're going into the the semi-sad Nintendo, they're struggling right now. Okay, they're struggling to find an audience. But their massive titled Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wind is an open world exploration game that looks promising. Okay, anything with the title of Zelda looks promising, but I think this one could be special if they do it right. It's an open world exploration, and I think this could be their next big hitter if they play it right. Now, we're talking Pokemon Go as well. Pokemon Go Plus and Paper Mario Color Splash were some of the other titles announced. Now, these games are geared toward the 3DS, which has been somewhat of the focus of what Nintendo is trying to do here, because the Wii U console is like I said, it's going downhill, and Nintendo is forcing us to buy a Wii U so we can play Zelda. That's about it. Okay, that Nintendo's lost appeal with like the seasoned gamers.
Yeah.
With the seasoned gamers, because their market now is geared toward that younger audience. Like, I was a big fan of Nintendo, like the GameCube and the Wii U when I was younger, but now that I'm older, I'm an Xbox, I'm a PlayStation kind of guy, and I feel like a lot of other people feel the same way that I do. Now, Nintendo needs to reinvent the wheel again. They plan on keeping up with the heavy hitters, because Xbox and PlayStation have been rolling for the last couple of years.
Yep, I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree anymore. And so,
Sorry, my internet just stopped.
oh, it's all good,
Sorry,
man.
I'm back. Man. We're good. Everything's there.
But I think you had a really good point there with Nintendo. I don't mean to be like raining on your segment, but I do think that Zelda is kind of Nintendo's last ditch effort to save what little bit of a console franchise they have left, because it's not doing very well. Everything is going to the 3DS. So what are your top 3 games you're excited for, man?
My top 3 games, here we go. God of War. Now, I have never owned a God of War game, but I have played God of War many, many times at my friend Chris's house. Hey, Chris, what's up? Hope you're watching. But I've played God of War. I love it. I love the graphics. I love the story. I love everything about it. We've got a new God of War game coming out. But listen, I'm here to talk about Spider-Man. Okay, this game. Watching this trailer, there were times oh my goodness, it was just it's wonderful. It's wonderful because I'm going back to my childhood playing Spider-Man 2 on the computer, right? And you get to swing through, and you got that free world aspect, and not very many Spider-Man games recently have been able to capture what the old glorious Spider-Man games have given us. This game, I think, has a lot of potential. And just look at that outfit, man. Look at that. Oh my goodness, it's beautiful.
It is gorgeous.
And my final game in my top 3 is a game that not many people have heard of. It's called Death Stranding, starring Norman Reedus. All I'm going to say about this one, go watch the trailer.
Yeah,
this
it's
thing
creepy.
Freaked me out.
It is creepy as heck.
Freaked me out. And I think something special. Norman Reedus is a talent to be reckoned with, and I think this game has from what everybody in the gaming community, they're like, this could be the next big thing. So that is definitely one to watch out for.
So that was I saw the trailer of that one, and the crabs coming up on the beach, and just how clear, and I was like, man, that is some beautiful rendering and some beautiful graphic work that they had done on those models, those 3D models, and it was really impressive. And Austin, do you have any takeaways? Like, what were some things that's the new thing? That's where the industry and all the franchises are moving towards. Whether or not it will pick up, we don't know. But Austin, what's your take on it?
Like Lindsay said, the presentations are always something that I look forward to watching. But guys, listen, virtual reality, to everybody listening to this podcast, I want this to hit so hard. I don't want it to be like, these offset, the camera thing for the Xbox and these little things that PlayStation's come out with over the years. I want this thing to be the next evolution for gaming. From what I saw at E3, I think this thing could hit hard once all these, titles and these concepts that people have been talking about that have not even started development yet. This thing could be the next evolution in gaming, and it could put, the controller in hand, it could give it a lot of competition, because as we know, people are lazy.
Yeah.
And people like to sit and look, and if that's all it takes, I think it could hit really hard.
It was funny, though, because I remember in our Nerd Nugget this week, we were talking about how Nintendo in 1995 unveiled the Virtual Boy, which was the first ever, and if you guys ever remember the Virtual Boy, it was this concept, it was like you kind of put it up on a countertop, and you kind of stepped forward into it, and it was just red grid lines of a game. It was horrible, to say the least. It was horrible to play. It was, and it was just, the renderings and everything, it didn't really look virtual, and there was nothing like you could look around with it. You were just kind of static, and you just looked into the visor, and you just saw it. So it was, now today's virtual reality, I mean, it's come definitely a long way, and I'm really excited about it.
I hope it hits. I hope it
does too, and I'm kind of sad that I didn't get the pre-order for it. I missed it. But I don't know. If I'm a good
Same
boy,
here.
If I'm a good boy, Santa Claus may bring it for me. I don't know, but you just gotta. Hopefully, he checks his list and checks it twice.
I can put that on my list.
You gotta put it on Santa Claus list. That's funny right there. All right, guys, we're going to be moving into our Preacher segment here, and we're going to be talking about all things Preacher. Now, if you've not seen the show, I highly recommend you to do so, okay? It's a really great television series that was actually birthed by some comic book geniuses back in the early 90s. The series was created by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon, and with painted covers by Glenn Fabry in 1995. So that would be Preacher number 1 that you're looking at right there. And the comic book ran all the way through to October 2000 for a total of 75 issues. And that includes 66 monthly issues, 66 individuals, 5 one-shot specials, and 4 limited series Preacher Saint of Killers limited run. The comics books were published by Vertigo, which was an imprint of DC Comics. And just to give you a little backstory about this, some guys named Seth Rogen and Goldman actually found this comic book franchise back in whatever day it was, and Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, they read this when they were teenagers growing up, and I don't know if would they be teenagers in 95? Probably in their early 20s, I'd say. But Preacher tells the story of one young Mr. Jesse Custer, a preacher in the small Texas town of Annville. Now, Custer is accidentally possessed by a supernatural creature called Genesis. It is the infant product. Now, this is where it gets really creepy. Partially demonic, partially heaven. The infant product of an unauthorized, unnatural coupling. That means, an angel and a demon got together, basically. And cool. They had an unnatural coupling of an angel and a demon, and the incident made Genesis, which is kind of holy/unholy. The incident flattens Custer's church and kills his entire congregation. Genesis has no sense of individual will, but since it is composed of both pure goodness and pure evil, its power might rival that of God himself, which is creepy when you think about it, making Jesse Custer, bonded to Genesis, potentially the most powerful being in the universe. Could you imagine having the powers of both God and Satan in one?
That would be pretty.
Holy cow!
Sweet.
It is a great show, and so what we're going to do now. So that's a little history backstory for you. We talked about some of the origins, and we talked about some of the authors. Now we're going to be talking too about how much some of the key characters, and Austin's going to give you some of the key characters from the books and from the show, And also, we're going to say, well, what are the differences between the show versus the comic book? So we're going to break those down for you as well. So, Austin, what do you got for us?
So, driven by a strong sense of right and wrong, Custer journeys across the United States, attempting to literally find God, who abandoned heaven in the moment Genesis was born. He also begins to discover the truth about him. They allow him, when he wills it, to command the obedience of those who hear and comprehend his words. That's cool. That is awesome. He is also joined by his old girlfriend, Tulip O'Hare, as well as a hard-drinking Irish vampire named Cassidy. Now, during the course of their journeys, the three encounter enemies and obstacles, both sacred and profane, including the saint, an invincible, quick-drawing, perfect aiming, come-lately angel of death, answering only to he who sits on the throne.
Now let me tell you right there. We have actually gotten a little bit of backstory of the Saint of Killers from the show. It starts out as like little clips, like backstory clips. So you're seeing him probably 100 years before all of the events during Jesse Custer's timeline. So you're getting the backstory of what this individual here is called the Saint of Killers. That's what his name is.
Wow. Gosh. The next one is a disfigured suicide attempt survivor turned rock star named Arseface. A serial killer named called the Reaver Cleaver. Oh my goodness, these names. The Grail, a secret organization controlling the governments of the world and protecting the bloodline of Jesus. Her star, all father of the Grail, a megalomaniac.
Wait, back up. Read that last one for me, please. I just need to hear that one in that voice, please.
A secret organization controlling the governments of the world and protecting the bloodline of Jesus.
Well, praise God.
Amen.
Glory to Jesus.
Praise God.
All righty.
Praise the Lord.
Thank you, Lord. Jesus.
Oh, her star. All father of the Grail. A penchant for prostitutes. Nice. Who wishes to use Custer for his own ends. As well as several fallen angels. And lastly, Jesse's own redneck family, particularly his nasty Cajun grandmother. We can all relate to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Her mighty bodyguard, Jody, and the animal-loving TC.
Dude,
Wow,
your commentary is killing me, man.
What a crew.
Oh.
Sorry.
We can all relate to that Cajun grandmother.
White out.
Nasty Cajun grandmother.
Cajun grandmother.
Oh, man, you're bringing me to tears. You'll have to quit it. Oh, shoot.
Jesus.
God, I missed you like the plague. Anyway. Alrighty. Moving on here. We got... so, where am I at? Okay. So, how does this show... So, that was some of the characters from the comic book itself. Those are characters that's in the comic, not in the show necessarily. Some are in the show, but that is some of the introduced characters from the comic books, okay? So before you go and start looking for Her Star or the Grail or Cajun Grandmother, just letting you know that those are just the comic portions of it. Now what we're going to do is actually compare the comic book to the show and see how it stacks up. Mm-hmm. So how does the show differ from comics and what you can pretty much expect? Well, Seth Rogen, which we all know, Mr. Seth Rogen, the comedic actor and director and all that, and Evan Goldberg, they were keepers of the Preacher flame. They are two truly diehard fans. These two guys freaking love the Preacher, and they grew up on the comics, and they've always had a passion for it. Before the longtime friends and collaborators acquired the property, they were fans first, and they pretty much devoured every single issue of Ennis and Dillon's chaotic comic as it was released in the 90s. As soon as Preacher fell into their hands, Rogen and Goldberg's first instinct was to tell that tale exactly as it was told on the panel page on television or in cinematic glory, whatever. But Garth Ennis, the original creator of Preacher, puts his eyes on... Now, this is a little tip for you, something that Seth Rogen and Goldberg has actually shared, that he puts his eyes on every single piece of the script for the show, and he sees every cut of Preacher before it goes to television. He's offering his input and support in every angle along the way. And according to Goldberg, he reads everything and gives us tons of notes. Not a lot of notes, but targeted notes that are very clear and simple to make the show better. So that's pretty cool. The original founder, Garth Ennis, has his hands on the scripts, and he's looking at it, his material that he wrote in 95 to 2000, and he's looking at it, and he's helping him shape the storyline to television. It's really cool. And readers of the graphic novels will also notice a huge filter on the cussing from the comic books that pretty much astonishingly does not affect any of the overall storytelling of the characters in the AMC version. So there is some profanity and some vulgarity, of course. It's AMC, but in the comics, it was pretty much every other word was a bad, crazy word. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to list some characters. I'm going to start with 2, and then Austin's going to end with a couple. There's some characters in the show that are just a little bit different from the comic book counterpart, and we're going to share that for you. All right, so Jesse and crew. So we're talking about Jesse, Tulip, and Cassidy. Originally, Jesse Custer was from Laredo, Texas, okay, and not from Annville like it says, and later forcibly relocated to Angleville, Louisiana. Tulip herself wasn't from Annville either, and Cassidy, now this is a kind of a cool one that you may not know, Cassidy never made an appearance in the small town of Annville. But in the show, he's there in episode 1. Now, the cable incarnation gives audiences a chance to meet and greet the less than saintly congregants of Custer's parish. Rogan and crew go out of their way to help us understand why Jesse Custer, after being overtaken by Genesis, suddenly wants to save this little town. So the story is they're taking what Garth Ennis has wrote and even adding a little bit more of a backstory to it, but staying true to the comics, which is brilliant when you're trying to tell a story of this caliber. Jesse Custer himself, his fall from grace is shown in progression, rather not as a cutscene. So in the comics, you see a really quick, just a one cutscene of him just falling and going out of his way and becoming overtaken by Genesis, whereas in the TV show, it's more of a progressive state. And it's letting the viewers witness Jesse's struggles with alcoholism, hypocrisy, and just general idiocy around his parish. Although we'll likely find out a good deal more of his origins later on, Rogan and Goldberg actually managed to do a great job, and this is pretty cool, of humanizing the soon-to-be demagogue before his wild journey begins. I like how they said demagogue. All right. So, Austin, who are some of the other characters from the show? Demagogue.
I'm going to start with Arseface. Sorry. I'm going to start with Arseface. I think it's interesting how Rogan and Goldberg chose to portray him as a more sympathetic character in the AMC incarnation. Mm-hmm. Naturally, he's still a nutty redneck.
He just likes his milkshakes, his meaty milkshakes.
He's crazy, man. He's a crazy guy. But overall, his TV counterpart seems far less insufferable than its 4-color iteration. Of course, Hugo Root and Arseface's television origin tale has not been told, but we will get that, so how ugly the underbelly of this southern sheriff actually is. So moving on to Tulip. On the show, Tulip heads home to find her former flame and to invite him along on one last score. In the Vertigo comic, however, Tulip hasn't seen Jesse in several years. She happens upon the anvil by accident while driving by, which is speaking more to destiny than her tenacity, for better or for worse. The good Reverend Custer in the wreckage of the church. Interesting. And Odin Quincannon, who I think has the coolest name.
Yes.
In Garth Ennis' original story, the perverted little meat baron doesn't show up until about a third of the way through. During the Salvation story arc, Jesse Custer winds up in the Podunk of Salvation, where the race industry holds the town hostage. But in the show, Quincannon, or at least his meatpacking plant, makes an appearance in the very first episode. It's also located right in Anvil for the sake of convenience. But every show needs to take liberties. And, honestly, I think they've done a good job of keeping the things that they need to keep the same, but changing things that they need to change for the sake of the story and translating it over.
Yeah. Do you recognize the actor that is played by Odin Quincannon? Do you recognize that actor they're holding?
Okay. Well, I've seen him in many, many things, but I don't know the
Jackie
name.
Earl Haley.
What's the name?
Jackie Earl Haley.
Oh, Watchmen.
I know,
That's
right?
it.
I know. And
That's
he has
it.
actually played. He's actually played Freddy Krueger. He's played Rorschach in Watchers, among many other amazing roles that he's done. But that is some of his comic material. As well, Rorschach, one of the coolest characters from The Watchmen. If you've never seen The Watchmen movie. But I'm a huge Jackie Earl Haley fan. I kind of dig all of his work.
I love his voice.
Yeah.
Dude, I think his voice is so epic when he gets into that grunty tone like he does in Watchmen. Oh,
yeah, and just did you see him in Freddy Krueger?
Dude, I didn't even know he played for Amazing.
Are you
That's
serious?
Awesome.
You haven't seen the Freddy
movie.
Krueger? Oh, dude, seriously.
I watched the new movie, but I didn't know it was him.
Yeah, that's him, dude. That's him.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I liked his take on Freddy, and they actually rebooted Freddy and Jason probably a couple years from each other. I think they did Jason first, Friday the 13th reboot. Then a couple years later, they did the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot. And honestly, I think Jackie Earl Haley hit it out of the park with his rendition of kind of taking on Robert Englund's, as we shall say, amazing legacy role of Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. I would love to see him portray that character again. I would love that.
Yeah, there needs to be a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, and it needs to be directed by Rob Zombie. I'm just saying.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
All right, I'll just throw that out there for you. Just throw those little nerd nuggets for you. But anyway. Man, but the last little bit of note that we have about Preacher, and this is kind of cool, is that it has been renewed for a second season on AMC. So, and we're not only just halfway through the first season, we're literally, as tonight, we're at tonight's episode 7 as we record this. Ratings are high, and we think it's a hit. So season 2 has been confirmed. So all of the cast and crew of Preacher, congratulations, and just keep doing what you're doing. And personally, on my take, my favorite character on the entire Preacher franchise is definitely Cassidy, the foul-mouthed Irish vampire, who I think is just freaking awesome. But you don't have to take my word for it. Dun-dun-dun. So that was, did you get that? That was my,
that.
Butterfly in the sky moment.
That was good, Joe. I like that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I've missed you.
My gosh. Well, I think that is a show, man. I think that's officially a wrap, dude. Yeah.
So much information. So much information. But you know what? If you've not watched Preacher, please get on the Preacher train.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Reading Rainbow for the win, Lindsay Badger says. I want to give a shout out right now. Lindsay's holding down the room over at the PopX.live. We're on Geeks.live as well. We are a part of an amazing network. We'll tell you about that here in just a minute. But PopX also has a hotline. So if you're going to see Ghostbusters this weekend, oh yes, if you're going to go, get your ghost busting on with Slimer and crew, we do have a hotline. We would love to hear your feedback. If you're getting out of the movie theater and you're really excited about everything that you just saw and you want to tell us about it, next week's episode, which I want to say this, is not going to be next Sunday the 17th because I'm going to be out of town all weekend visiting family and quote-unquote the in-laws, or as I shall say,
The in-laws.
But anyway, so I'll be up in South Carolina doing that. But we'll be recording on July the 20th on a Wednesday at 9 o'clock. So we'll be doing the ghost. Now, is that a day before your birthday? When were you born, Austin? Was it 21?
21st, 1995. I'm going to be 21.
Oh, wow. July 21st, 1999. 95? 99?
95. I'm an old man.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. You were born when Preacher came out.
Oh my, what? I didn't think about that.
You were.
Yeah, I was.
Oh my God. You were conceived the same time Genesis was.
Oh,
Maybe
man,
you
it
are
all-
Genesis. Holy cow, you're Genesis in the flesh. My aunt and uncle has conceived. Anyway, I'm just messing with you. So I'm off on a tangent. This is crazy. But if you're going to go see Ghostbusters this weekend, please call our PopX hotline. We would love to play your review on our show. And if you got something exciting to say, keep it clean, please. No profanity or swearing. Thank you very much. If you do, we just can't play it. But if you want to, call 850-417-7679. Or if you are a nerd and you just want to write it down, it's 850-417-PopX. Give us a call, and we would love to play your little snippet on next week's show.
Ooh. Snippets. We got snippets now,
Snippets.
Joe?
We got some snippets for you.
Snippets. Also, we are part of an amazing network called Gonna Geek Network. For all things even more geeky, head over to gonnageek.com and check out some amazing podcasts on our home network.
Our home network is the freaking bomb. Stargate Pioneer, Chris Farrell,
cool.
Stephen John Drew. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for letting us be on your amazing network of podcasters, and just, it's awesome. We're home. Thank you for welcoming us home. And also, you can follow us over on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Patreon, Twitter, just everywhere. Pinterest, everything is at PopXcast, okay? And you can also email us at popxcast@gmail.com if you want to send us a review or send us a show. Like if you got an idea for a show that you want to do, hey, that'd be a good chance to do that. We'd love to hear from our listeners. And also for things really needy, gurky, for all things
Turkey.
for all things beef jerky.
Turkey.
For all things beef jerky, head over. Anyway, for all things geeky and nerdy, I'll get it out in a minute. Oh my gosh, popxcast.com. That was just like down with them.
Oh,
Anyway.
that was great. I am Austin Burke at the Burkinator. It's like the Baconator, but it's me. We'd like to encourage all of you faithful listeners to leave us a 5-star rating and review over on iTunes and Google Play. It really does help us out. Like I said at the beginning, get us ranked among the other searches. Guys, it's so good to be back. I'm sorry if I had some allergy issues. It was a little red, looked like the Terminator, but we'll take care of that next week.
Yeah, next week, hopefully I won't be like saying like beef jerky and stuff like that on the air. I just
Turkey.
for all things beef jerky, head over to Oh my God, I'm done. Anyway, and I am Joe Burke at AKA Rodcav, ROTCAV, over on Instagram and everywhere else, and on Twitter and the internet. And of course, we want to send our hats off over to Team PopX, the real guys who make this show work in the background. We want to say hello to Lindsay Badger in the chat room, and just doing all of our nerd nuggets this week, and just helping us out, and just doing everything that she does. And also Mr. Mike Ippolito for the slides and graphic love. Oh, yes. Hello. All right. Like we said, guys, stay tuned. We have episode 23 coming to you not next Sunday, but on July the 20th. It's on a Wednesday night. We're going to schedule it. It's already on the schedule over on popxcast.com. Be sure to check it out. But it's going to be the official movie review of Ghostbusters. From all of us here at PopXcast, thanks for listening, and we will see you next time. Take care.
From everyone here at PopXcast, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe for more great content. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Lab, and YouTube, all at PopXcast. Get your geek on.